It's working tonight. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Today is our second Monday of each month, and we are back in English. It's once a month that we come here to talk a little bit. And oh, it's working. That's good. Good to know. Good to know. Thank you. Last Saturday we had a problem. That's why I was worried. Um, so yeah, so every second Monday of each month we are here in English, trying to read and trying to understand Spiritism and promoting at least a little bit of awareness in a different language. Spiritism was born in France, therefore it was everything was written in French at the time, and after that was kind of transplanted to Brazil. And everything else from then on was basically everything written in Portuguese. But of course, like everything else, um, when we move to different countries and we still want to keep studying those things that we love, that we want to know, and that we can share with other people too, we we better prepare ourselves on the language of the country we are living in. Therefore, our small effort to um, spread Spiritism in English as well. So once a month, we come here and we read a message. We say a few words at the beginning. We do a prayer in the beginning. Then we invite a friend to read a message. Tonight, I hope it's Lucas that's going to read something for us from the book Our Daily Bread and make some comments on the message. And then I'll be back to keep going with the study of the Gospel according to Spiritism. That's usually how it goes. That's usually how we do it, and hopefully you can all understand and get a. I mean, let me do a small parenthesis here. I usually don't speak that much before doing the prayer, but when we are learning anything, it doesn't matter in what language. Um, we have to learn the basics, and there are some basic words to anything and everything that we're going to do. If I'm going to talk to a doctor, if I'm going to talk to a lawyer, if I'm going to talk to whoever, they're going to use words that maybe I don't understand, depending on how deep they go or whatever they're talking about, because I don't have the proper vocabulary of that specific thing, right? The other day, for example, I made a joke here. We were outside cleaning up the outside there, and then Cristiani was talking to someone else. I think it was Danielle, and one of them looked at the other and said, "Hey, can you pass me the fabulous?" And I looked at them and said, "No, not me, please." But they were not talking about a person. They were not talking about a fabulous person. They were talking about something that is used to clean the floor. I knew that because my wife uses that thing as well. But if I didn't know that fabulous was not referred to me, right, I would have looked around and say, okay, she's talking about myself. So that's what I'm talking about. I mean, when we are studying something, when we want to know a little bit more of that thing, we have to know at least the basics of the vocabulary, and that's one of the things, or one of the reasons we are here, um, trying to spread Spiritism in English as well, is to get people more aware of the words, of some words that we use, some ideas that we try to spread, explaining some concepts and so on. So having said all that, let's do our prayer, our initial prayer. Then we will invite Lucas, and he'll continue from here. So we'd like to start by thanking and thanking God, first of all, for giving us life, for giving us the opportunity once more of being alive in the flesh, to work towards our perfection, to work towards becoming better people and to becoming co creators of the universe. People that are aware of themselves, that are aware of the world around us, so that we can, by improving our interior lives, we can improve the lives outside of ourselves. So, dear God, thank you for allowing us to be here once more, to fulfill our destinies, to fulfill our promises to ourselves of improving and of becoming better people. Thank you, Jesus, as well, for all the teachings that you brought to us, that you still bring to us through these words of your gospels, of your practice, of the law of love, and of the law of compassion. May this love that you share and you give and you send to all of us, may we all feel this love tonight, but not only tonight, always and always, so that we can together become more loving people. Thank you for this. Thank you for your love, and protect us now and forever. So be it. So, with this, let's invite Lucas to read a message from our daily bread, and I'll be back after that.
Let's see if the book is here. It's not, but I have it here. Good evening, everyone. All right, so a couple of things Mackenzie mentioned here that I'd like to start by just reinforcing. So he said that when we want to learn something, we start by learning new vocabulary, new words, and everything. And I remember when I started attending the Cantinho de Luz about a year ago, I mentioned to Mackenzie that I was listening to Kardec radio with the purpose of learning and improving my vocabulary about Spiritism in English, right? And here I am today. How useful that was. Was very useful. Now I'm here speaking in English to you and to myself too. So, and the second thing is that he started to pray it, saying that let's start by thinking. And the title of the message today, which is message 1633 from the book Our Daily Bread by Emmanuel and through the hands of Chico Xavier, is Be Thankful. So it's like, okay, well, look at the connection there. Let's talk about being thankful. So I'm going to start by reading it as usual, and then I'll make some comments about it. So the passage of the gospel is, and be thankful. This Paul said this. It's Colossians 3:15. Emmanuel then comments, it is odd to perceive the great number of the students that are always intent on receiving blessings, while rarely do we find anyone disposed to render them. The spiritual resources, however, in its common mobilization, should obey the same system applied to the providences of material order. In the chapter dealing with the blessing of the soul, it is not correct to receive and waste senselessly, but rather to be prudent and correct, so that the possibilities are not absorbed by the disorder or by injustice. For this reason, thank you, much better. Now I need to find where I was. This is the same. It seems different. So I'm going to start over because it seems to be a little bit different, the translation. So I'm going to start over. It is curious to note that a lot of disciples are always interested in receiving blessings, but it is quite rare to find someone who is willing to render them. However, in their normal use, spiritual resources should obey the same system applied to provisions of a material order. As far as the soul's blessings are concerned, they should not be received and spent foolishly, but prudently and rightly, so that their potential is not absorbed by disorder and injustice. Consequently, in his instructions to the Christians at Colossae, the apostle recommends that we be thankful. Among earnest disciples, the old habit of expressing thanks in bombastic and obsequious words is not justified. In the community of workers loyal to Jesus, to be thankful means to usefully employ the blessings received as much for our neighbors as for ourselves. For loving parents, the best thanks from their children consist in the high level understanding of work and life to which they attest. Expressing their gratitude to Christ, his apostles were so faithful to him that they made the ultimate sacrifice. Paul of Tarsus received the call from the Master, and in a display of happiness and love, he served the divine cause through indescribably suffering for more than 30 years. Being thankful does not mean only the utterance of fine sounding words. Rather, it means feeling the greatness of gestures, the light of benefits received, the generosity of trust, and willingly extending to others the treasures of life. All right, so I think that this message is very straightforward. Um, and it's funny because we nowadays we use the word gratitude, right? A lot. You see it everywhere on social media. People have tattoo it. It's very frequent, right? But what does that really mean? What does being thankful really mean to each one of us? So, I was thinking about things that don't happen to us. We talk about the bad things that don't happen to us. And when do we really stop to think and to be thankful, right? Because, in my opinion, being thankful is not only saying the words, which we do a lot. I do it a lot. I just say thank you. But do I really mean it most of the time, right? Do I really mean it? I think that being thankful is actually reflecting about what is going on around me, right? Being aware of what I receive from God, the blessings I receive from God, and how do I put all of this, how do I give back, right? We hear a lot of giving back to community, giving back to others. How do I give back everything that I receive from God, right? Am I really thankful? Do I stop to reflect about everything that I am being thankful for, or am I just verbalizing, as Emmanuel says here, right? It's easy to say the word, it's easy to write it, but how often do we actually stop to think about it, what it really means? And what it really means to us in our life, daily life, right? When something happens, I am grateful. For what? Why am I grateful? Right? And most importantly, how do I use everything, all the blessings that I'm receiving towards myself and others, right? Really reflecting about gratitude is what we should learn with Emmanuel today from this message, right? We go through life, we receive so many things, we think that we're self sufficient, right? That we can do everything ourselves, we don't need others, right? I can just live my life and go through life and not care about anyone, right? Because I am receiving, I am doing good, right? I'm being an honest person. But is that really enough, right? If until we actually stop and think about gratitude, about everything that we are receiving, think that only at that moment we are going to actually start living gratitude. Living gratitude is more than just saying it, verbalizing it, right? And we need to make this change Create the habit of being thankful for everything we received from God, from what Jesus left us to, right? And just as an example, the other day something happened. Well, did not happen to me. Um, as some of you know, I was ready to start a new job. Some of you might know that, and it hasn't worked out. So I was offered a new job, and I've been waiting for months for this new job. It was supposed to be mine. The position, the job role was open for myself, and but it hasn't worked out. So the other day, Fabrizio was traveling last week, and he sent me a something from a newspaper. Right, he sent me a link, s- um, showing that the company that I was going to work for was going through some issues. It was like, oh, okay, fine. That's why I'm not there, right? Thank God. And then just today, I was driving as we were driving here. I stopped and I was thinking about when like was a moment that I said verbalized it, but I was not really thankful. I did not reflect fully about what happened at that moment, right? I just said, "Oh, thank God, I'm not there." But did I really mean it? I don't think so. Not at that moment. Not at that moment, which is the reason why I'm here, because I also need to learn about being grateful, right? Something didn't happen to me. Maybe if I were there, something bad could have happened. Could have like started a job and then lost it. You never know, right? But at the same time, what did I do with that blessing, right? It's something I need to reflect on because I haven't yet. So this is my job from now on, to start thinking about the bad that didn't happen, really reflecting and being grateful, right? And really taking some time, a minute or two, to reflect about gratitude. Am I grateful for what, right? And then I think that when we start to live, to think about, to reflect about gratitude, is that we are going to start living it. Yeah, and this is the message from today. I'm going to invite Mackenzie back to talk about the gospel for us. Good evening.
And I'm back. Thank you, Lucas, for the message. Big message of thanks, which is always very necessary for us to understand how it works. So I'm gonna put the phone here so I can see it. I'm gonna try to use the PowerPoint today, um, just to make it a little bit different. I didn't put the whole message, but I'm gonna go through a little bit of what this message teaches us. And once again, like I said in the beginning, we're doing this in English. And what we do is we follow the gospel according to Spiritism. And we are about, say, halfway through the book, more or less. And this version of this translation was done. This is this is I'd say a new translation done a few years ago, like in, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, because one of the most famous translations was done a long time ago in the UK, which has like old words and so on. So this book has a newer translation. The translation that I put there is more like it's older than this one, but I mean the words matter sometimes, but the idea is what counts. So we are. Thank you for the ones who are online. I know that Mariana is online or was online. Mariana was a worker that now she's living in California, so she's kind of far away to come here. So and maybe there was other people that didn't say anything, so I don't know. But welcome, and the ones in the future who may listen to this in the future. Thank you for for stopping by and trying to be here with us tonight. So we are following the chapter number 13 of the book. And the title of the chapter is Do Not Let Your Left Hand Know What Your Right Hand is Doing. It's a big title for a chapter. And in this chapter, they have this item which is called orphans. And that's what we are going to talk about. We're going to put there some of the words that this spirit talked about. And we don't know the name of the spirit who wrote this message. He only says that it was a familiar spirit. This message was written in 1860 and was put here after the book, of course, was on the second edition of the book. So a familiar spirit wrote this message entitled Orphans. And I told PowerPoint to create a title screen, and then PowerPoint did this for me. I found it to be very cute. Kids like playing and drawing, and it's very, very, very nice. So I kept it there. So everybody knows, I guess, what is to be an orphan, right? Not that we necessarily lived through it, not that we necessarily saw it close to us, but we know what it is to be an orphan. That the person that doesn't have a mother, or doesn't have a father, or doesn't have both, and it's put up to adoption either because they lost their parents or because their parents didn't want them. However, in whatever the situation is, there are still a lot of kids. There are orphans, and there are movies about it, and we find interesting movies about it, about the idea and of adopting. So the spirit will talk a little bit about this problem, let's say, because it is a situation that we have in our society. So what I tend to think and to believe is that Spiritism, trying to make sense of the situations, of everything that goes in life, tries to give a perspective to us so that we can take a look at those and see if it's for me, if it's not for me, if it is for me, what should I feel, how should I think about it, and take a decide to do something about it. So let's start with some words from the text, and then we might end up um, we will talk a little bit more about it. So this is how this familiar spirit starts the message. He says, "Brothers and sisters, you should all love the orphans. If you only knew how sad it is to be abandoned, especially in infancy." And it made me really think um, about it, because if we didn't go through this, if we didn't have that situation, sometimes we tend to try to relate to some situations. We tend to say, "Oh, I know how it is," or "I kind of know how it is." But do we really know how it is? There are some stuff that I can say that we can relate with some feelings or some experiences that we had, that we can say that, oh, I kind of see it. But to not to have a father or a mother or both, um, maybe we don't. Um, we will say that there's no need for it, or I went through it fine. There was no issues. There was no problem. But once we get to adulthood, or sometimes even before that, when we get to being an adolescent, a teenager, um, that we didn't have a mother or that we didn't have a father, and then problems start to arise, then when people talk to psychologists later in life, usually psychologists are able to point out that some of the issues that I have or that the person has is because of the lack of having a father or of having a mother. And despite the fact that I might tell myself that, oh no, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter because I had this other person, or I had, my grandmother was my father, or was my mother, or my mother was my father in my mother, or my father was, which is less common, but oh, my father was my mother and my father. Usually, it is we can see in people's behaviors, and psychologists or people that study human behavior more closely are really able to see in them the lack of that, what we call a paternal figure or a maternal figure, to have the balance of both sides, to really have that idea of having a structure of a family, and well structured of a family. And now I'm going to make another parenthesis here. Of course, that when I say this, and when I'm well aware that there are some families that have two fathers. There are some families that have two mothers, which there's no issue in that, because it's the thing is to have a something that's stable for the kid, something that can be, um, as that we can use that connection in between two people, dependently if they are women and women or men and men, it doesn't matter, that we have that connection, that human connection. And that human connections is what gives us as kids that strength to say, okay, I can deal with other people because my parents, they are together. And I see that they are not perfect. I see that they have issues, but even with their issues, they are still together. So I can grow up and say, okay, I have issues with you, but I can solve my issues. When I don't have that, when I don't have one of the pairs, it doesn't matter what it is. When I don't have one, something will be missing, something will be lacking. And especially, and now let's think, what if I don't have both of them? And that's the situation of an orphan, right? What do we feel? We feel abandoned. We feel as if nobody wanted us. How many movies or how many things we saw and we heard about people that said, "Oh, my mother threw me away when I was born, or gave me away, or left me behind," or so it. And these things, despite the fact that sometimes we are so tough and we want to show being strong to other people, and then when we close ourselves in our rooms, everything like we crumble, when we cry, and we are not. So when they start, when this spirit starts this message by talking to us about, and by telling us love all orphans, he is trying to make us really understand that um, we have to have this idea of course, that we know that we should love everybody, but do we? And sometimes um, we look at some situations and we just like oh, this kid and or that person is doing this and he's doing that, and we don't know that they are orphans and they are causing troubles, and we tend to dislike them or tend. So when he starts by saying love all orphans, and he explains it, if you only knew how sad it is to be abandoned, especially in infancy, he's trying to make us really understand that we have to extend our love to certain degrees that maybe sometimes we're not prepared to extend it to. And we have to be aware that this might be one of the situations. This might be, not that it will be. We don't all have to to adopt kids. That's not the point of the message. The point of the message is not making us to go and adopt kids. It could be farther away from this, but it's to raise inside of ourselves awareness of the situation, that we have to start really thinking about love outside of our circle of people that we know. But not only that, we have to start really thinking about love outside of our bloodlines. And this is very hard. This is very hard. There's a book by the spirit André Luiz, André Luiz in Portuguese, and through Chico Xavier. And all spiritists know about this book. It's called Nosso Lar. There was a movie about it. There's the new Nosso Lar 2 now that's in theaters, or that just came out. And but especially the first one, or the first book, I didn't see that much in the movie, not that I can recall, but in the book he talks about this. And he mentions, and he uses a word that's related to medicine, to talk about the love that we share with the ones that are from my family. And he says that we tend to, I think that if I don't use a muscle, I mean, say if I don't, I'm sick, I'm in coma, for example, I'm in bed, and I stop moving because I cannot move, all my body will atrophy. My muscles will be atrophied. I think that the word is the same in English. And my muscles will be very weak, very, very weak, because they are not used as often. The same happens when astronauts go out in space and they try to exercise. But if you've seen some footages of astronauts that spent a lot of time in space, when they come to Earth, they cannot step. They cannot be by themselves. They have to be carried. They have to do exercise because there's no gravity. So they are not supporting themselves. So their muscles are weak. So they have to go through through exercise, and they have to be exercising all the time up there. Otherwise, they will lose mass. They will lose muscle, even exercising. But what André Luiz says in the book, when he refers to our love for the ones we called our loved ones, he says that we hypertrophy, which is the other way around. We overwork the muscles. We work the muscles much, much more than what we should. Then the muscles are, you see those guys that, raise weights, and they're like huge. And so that's a hypertrophy. That's using more than what I shouldn't say that we should, but which sometimes can be. But it's the overgrowth of a muscle. And André Luiz, in this book, he says that unfortunately we hypertrophy the love we share with our loved ones, and we don't care about the ones that we don't love. So it is an imbalance of love, which always makes me think of Jesus when he says, when people come to him, and Jesus, people come to him and says, hey, Peter or whoever it is that comes to him, and he says, your mother and your brothers are outside. They want to see you. And he says, who are my brothers and my mother? My brothers and my mother are all who do the work of God. So what he's, in my view, in my personal view, in my understanding of what Spiritism teaches us, is not that he doesn't care about his mother and about his brothers. What he's saying is everybody, or I love everybody. I don't make distinctions if the person is my brother or if the person is a person that I never knew. That's what he is saying. And of course, here we're talking about Jesus. I'm not talking about, us. I'm talking about Jesus. And that's, to my understanding, is a step that's very hard for us to take. Very hard. Very, very, very hard. But that's what we need to try to walk towards. To learn to love equally everybody. Is it hard? It is hard. It is possible, not now, maybe not for a very long time, but the same way that it is not possible for us to go to Mars now, it was not possible in the 50s to go to the moon. But we went to the moon in the 60s. And we already have stuff in Mars that we can see Mars from here. Not humans, but it's something that makes us walk towards it. It's a goal set. I have a goal set that I will follow. I will try to go there. So this love one another that Jesus teaches us is started. It is related to what we're talking about, the orphans here. And what you're going to see is he's talking about orphans, but this message, it's not just about orphans in the strict sense of the word. It's about love. It's about how much love we pour into things that we have in our lives towards other people. It's how much love we can give, not that we can receive, that we can give, because it's an action that comes from me to the outside. Usually when we read a message, and hopefully not you all, but sometimes or most of the times when we think about this, or a message that we read, we think about other people. We think about the orphans, or we think about, oh, I'm not an orphan, so I cannot adopt anybody, so I'm not going to even read about it. I'm just going to jump over. But when we stop to think about what is my role, what is my duty in that specific situation, I have to put myself into the place not only of the orphan, but also in the place of the other one who is looking at the orphans. What I find funny, and every time I read about orphanages or orphans or adoption, I always remember, and we are all Brazilians here, so we all know this song. That was created, I think, and I never read about it, but I think it was created as maybe to make fun of something, but to me, it shares a message that's so related to this, which is that song that says, exchange your dog for a poor children, which of course it doesn't make it, probably, I don't know if it rings any bell for you, but if I sing it in Portuguese, probably everybody heard the song. Troque seu cachorro por uma criança pobre. Which is a funny song when you hear it in Portuguese, but it is something that always made me think about what is it that we are deciding to love. What is it that we are giving our love to? And to me, I mean, I mentioned this song, and I really don't think that we should do that, because if I love a dog, I love a dog, and that's it. There's nothing wrong about it. There's absolutely nothing wrong about it. But the lyric of the song, when he says, exchange your dog for a poor children, it is for us to really think about what are the priorities that we are giving to life. Not necessarily in this specific situation of dogs and children, but of how much do I really think about the important things in life? How much love am I giving to the world, and in what am I putting my love to? And to think about this. So once again, and I'm going to come back here, when he asks us to, and he calls us brothers and sisters, and he tells us to love all the orphans because we don't understand what they're going through, I think that if we try to understand what they're going through, we might be able to understand that maybe in some degree, I want to be loved as well. And if I want to be loved, an orphan would want to be loved as well. So it is as if he is trying to make us really, entering in that stage or in that state of learning to love and go into a deeper sense of what love really is. Not staying in the surface, but going a little deeper. I don't know if you guys know of anyone or not, but some people take that message and go and do exactly what not what he says or what she says, that spirit says, but decided that adoption is something that they can do and they will live through it. So there's a family friend of ours in Brazil, not here, but in Brazil, that they had, I think, 5 kids, if I'm not mistaken. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 kids. They had 5 kids. And once they had 5 kids, they decided that they needed to have more. They couldn't. So they started adopting. So I think that in the end, they ended up having 9 kids. 4 adopted. And not only kids that were like babies, they adopted the ones, which is rare to adopt kids that are older, because it's rare because it's more complicated, it's more complex to have a kid that's already like 8, 9, 10 years old, and they already come with a lot of stuff that they already learned, and how you're going to educate or re-educate and to live. And they are all, as far as I know, and it's been such a long time, I don't talk to them and see them very often, but as far as I know, they all grew up great in the family. But it's a mission that they took upon them. And I have another friend, that another couple that did the same. And they actually, this other friend couple, they not only adopted, they work with adoption, helping other families to adopt kids. So it's not for everybody. But what I'm saying is, uh, Spiritism, I think it in that sense, it broadens our mind to say, hey, we are able to do it. There are some people that can do it, and there are some people there that are not even spiritists. They just have their calling and they go and do it. But once we have the idea, that's what spiritism gives us, as not only living this moment, not only living this life, not only living this one life, but when we start to think about bigger, how much bigger our life is than just this incarnation. And then that's the next sentence that they have here. What an act of divine charity it is to protect a creature. Well, uh, I copied things and I let me see. I'm going to jump a few slides because I don't have much more time. I spoke too much about the first one like I usually do. But what I was going through. Let me see if I get to the point. Previous slide. Oh my God, where did I put it? This one? Yeah, I guess it's this one. I jumped over it, I guess. Oh yeah, I jumped over this. I don't know why I didn't see it. So I'm going to read this, and it says, meditate on the possibility that frequently the child you are helping may be, and look that he doesn't say or she doesn't say that it is, but maybe someone who was very dear to you in a past incarnation, and that if they were able to recognize you, it would no longer be an act or charity, but a simple obligation. So, what the Spirit is trying to remind us, and by being Spiritist and understanding how this, or trying to understand how this mechanism works, the connections we make, this why do I have the parent I have? Why do I have the child I have? Why am I not working where I was supposed to be working, as Lucas was telling here? Why do these things happen? How are these things connected? So he is, or she is, trying to remind us that when we get to a certain point and that we are about to adopt someone, if it's the case, and we can generalize this and remove from adoption, but use Lucas's example for it that he used here, and we see it with a different eye, through a different perspective, we may understand how, for example, there's a singer in Brazil, and she told this story. I think I heard in a podcast or an interview that she was giving about her adopting some kids. Her name is Vanessa da Mata, and I guess we know who I'm talking about. So her name is Vanessa da Mata, and she said that she wanted to adopt some kids, but she only wanted one kid. That's she went to. She was looking for, and that's one kid. I want one kid. She tells a few other details that I'm not going to remember. I was trying to remember, but I couldn't remember. I couldn't find it quickly, this interview, so I couldn't like be reminded of the whole story. So I'm telling what I have in my mind from what she said. And then she was looking for someone. She was looking, and I think she went to one place and didn't find him, but went to another place. And then she went to a certain location where they had kids for adoption. So when she enters this place, she sees one, and she looks at the boy or the girl, whoever it was, and she says, or she feels like that's the one. But that one had two brothers or two sisters or whatever. And she looked at them and she said, those ones too. It's like it, like we're, and that reminds me exactly of what it just, when I read this, it put me straight into Vanessa da Mata's story. It's like, if I remember, if I wouldn't remember, if I would remember, it would not be an act of charity. It was not my doing of gathering those kids. And oh, I love the world so much that I want to have these three kids with me, and I'm giving something to the world. What she is reminding us, or he is reminding us, is that it's not an act of charity. It is a simple obligation, which gives us a different perspective for us not to feel proud. And instead of growing love, out of love, we grow pride inside of ourselves. Oh, I adopted kids. So it's not something to brag about. If you love it, you love. And that's it. Love, from love, we should not stem pride. From love, or real love, we should stem more love. And not brag. Oh, I adopted. And it's not a competition. Oh, I adopted three. Oh, you adopted only one. Do you know where I'm going to? So what he is, the Spirit is telling us, or inviting us to think about, is inviting us to think about that we are gears in a mechanism of love in the universe. We're not there to compete with one another and then break the other gear that's loving. No, we are there to be together and to work together. So if I am, or if I am not, um, to adopt anyone, we should praise the ones that adopt others. But sometimes we criticize the other because, oh, you don't have any condition, you don't have any material condition, you're adopting another one. So what? They have so much love inside of them that they want to do it. And if they want to do it, they want to do it. But we tend to overlook and try to find motives and try to find problems in everybody else's decisions in life. And we forget that by throwing out words that are heavy, that are negative, we're just bringing stuff down instead of growing. So that's why I said that even though I'm talking and we're talking about orphans, I'm not talking about orphans only. I'm talking about any situation where we have the opportunity to love. We have the chance to give love. So we give love instead of giving negativity, instead of pushing or pulling the person down because of something that he or she or he did or they did. And so that we can finish this, and I mean, there's so much to talk about that sometimes I just don't know where to start or where to finish. But um, before we get to the end, I'm going to say what I always say is read the message. See how long the message is? It's just this. This is how long the message is. It's less than a page. It's a very brief message. Very, very brief. But you see, I've been talking here about this message for about, 40 minutes. And there's much more to talk about. So I'm giving my take on it, but I highly, recommend and urge you to read about. But don't read about as reading as if we're gonna adopt anyone. Maybe because you already have kids, maybe because you don't want. So it's not about that. It's about giving love to someone. It's about giving love to not one specific, but to the world. It's to giving something good from us to the world. So um, and that's basically how he ends the message, and that's how I want to finish this message by reading these last two lines of the message, because the message is so short. It's one paragraph. There's no breaks. It's just one paragraph. She goes, or he goes, and from beginning to end. But he says at the end of the message these two sentences: avoid being patronizing. Patronizing is, uh, being bigger than the other, and like as if you're giving a sermon or saying something to the other, as if you're better than the other. So avoid being patronizing, which only turns the dagger. If we, I did something good to you, so here I am, being better than you, saying that I'm better, that I did this. That so avoid being, he is talking about not only about the orphans, but he's talking about when we are helping others, when we are going out to do something for someone that is in need, that needs something, and I go to help. So avoid being patronizing, avoid saying that I'm there to help, avoid saying this, which only turns the dagger of suffering in the heart, so causing more bleeding. So if the person is already asking for help, and I'm helping, why am I going to make the person feel even worse? And sometimes we do it and we don't even notice it. So we have to be aware of how we are doing it. If asked, go and help. If not asked, ask if the other needs help. If the other needs help and don't want to ask for help, I can help. I can do it. And we don't need to do more. No, it's our part. But don't, like, after that say, oh, I did. And how many times have we heard, oh, I did this for you? What? So you did it out of interest? If you're throwing it at the other person, did you do it then because you wanted something? So it's better not to do it. Because if we want to understand, and if we are Christians, and if we really understand the message of love that Jesus taught us, is do it. He doesn't say wait or expect for the other to do it for you. No, that's not the message. The message is do it. Unfortunately, Nike took it, right? Just do it. But that's what Jesus would have said. Yeah. So just go ahead but are we waiting for something back? That's what he's talking about. If we're doing something, we should be doing it. And that's it. That's the end of the story. It's not to expect something back. Is it hard when we are being, like, unfair, when people are being unfair to us, they don't thank us? It is hard. It is not something that we would like. So if we don't like, we have to be grateful. We have to be thankful. That's from us. But if the other person doesn't do it, what can I do? And I shouldn't be waiting or expecting. That's what he's saying. And then he finalizes by saying, consider that by doing good, you're working for your own benefit. Even if we want to be selfish, that's what we should be doing. If I'm doing for the wrong reason, I want to do this because it's going to be serving my own benefit. What? Helping others. Yeah. So be selfish and help others. It's going to grow in you. And then it's going to do good for you. But also, it will do good for the others. You see? So when she or he is saying this, consider that by doing good, you're working for your own benefit as well as for those whom you love. She's not talking only about orphans. She's talking about love and using the word orphans to catch our eye, to catch our attention. And maybe we are all orphans. Maybe we are all orphans. And it doesn't matter if it's orphans from a father, from a mother. It's orphan from something that I miss, from something that I had and I don't have anymore. And we are all expecting to be adopted by our friends, adopted by a church, by a temple, by a spiritist center, adopted by a kid that comes to us and loves us so much that it gives us back something that we didn't have. So that's love. That's what she is talking about. She's not talking about just that for the fact that I was raised without a father, without a mother. No, she's talking about us being who we are and for us to be better than who we are by loving one another, not by expecting love from the others, but by giving love to the others. And again, I highly recommend read this message once again. It's a small message, but it goes deep and deep in the heart. So, having said that, thank you very much for your patience, for your attention, for being here. Next month we'll be back, but I don't remember when was the last time that I was not here on for the English meeting. I don't remember. I really don't remember. But next month, I'm not going to be here, which will be good for you because you're going to stop listening to me. You're going to hear someone else. And Lucas accepted the challenge. So Lucas will be here talking. Yeah. Yeah. Accepted the challenge, so he will be here with you guys, giving the main message, let's say, and I welcome him, and I already gave him my big thanks because I know it's not something that you do it every day. So be kind to him. He's always kind to us, so let's be kind to him in return. And we'll be back after that. I mean, we'll be back. It's just for that specific week that I'm not going to be here, so I can't be here. This weekend, done. This weekend, we're going to have this weekend and next weekend. We're going to have Roberto Barbosa. He will be here, and he's going to be not only here. He's going to be at the other Spiritist Center too, doing what he did. He's been doing with us for I think the past 2 years or 2.5 years. He came, I think, 4 or 5 times. So he does this spiritual surgery and this love therapy. So we will be doing this next Saturday. It will be this spiritual surgery. I guess everybody is already know about. Everybody already knows about. But if you don't know about, ask Adriana. She has the list with the names of people. We don't have room for 1,000 people, so there's a limit in the number of people that can be here. But not only that, so he will be here this Saturday from 2 to 5, next Saturday from 2 to 5, but he will also be here tonight, or not tonight, Saturday nights, both Saturday nights, for 2 different topics. So he will during the afternoon he will do the therapy, and at night he will give us 2 talks. One talk is about healing yourself, and the other one is about God and Jesus, something like that. I forget now the topics, but we will put it up on the website, and there's a list in WhatsApp that we send out messages if you want to subscribe to that. Adriana can also give the number so you can put your name on the WhatsApp and receive updates on stuff that Cantinho is doing too. So it's always good to be aware. So if you can and if you want, it's a very, very nice afternoon, and with the treatment, and also at night. This month as well, we have on the 18th is the anniversary of Spiritism, as we called it, was the first book. Is April 18, 1857. So the Spirits book was launched. So this month is the month of the anniversary of Spiritism, but also is the anniversary of our Cantinho de Luz. So our Cantinho de Luz will be 22 this year, and not on this Saturday, but the Saturday after this one, on the 20th of April, we will have a celebration. I mean, Roberto will be here. He will do the main message, but then after that, we're going to have a good dinner outside. So if you want to come to celebrate with us, it will also be really good. So Mariana, you're invited to come. Come from California to us. Come visit. Bring Jessica as well. Yeah, I see her that she wrote something here, but I can't read it. Too small for me. I need new glasses. Yeah, everybody. No, she says, I wish I was there to see Roberto. Yeah, you can come. There's still time. Oh, she was, right? Oh my God. Yeah. So yeah, but with all this, thank you again for being here, and let's do our final prayer. Are we still gonna have passes, or are we done with everything? Right? Yeah. So let's just do our final prayer, and then we're still gonna have our passes. And thank you everybody that's online. Thank you, Mariana, for being there and for being here with us as well. So thankful, with our hearts full of joy and full of hope, full of love, from this message that brings us back to the thinking of the love, the amount of love that Jesus feels and shows for us. We would like to ask the good spirits to provide the powder of hope to enter our minds, our hearts, our body, our spirit, so that we can look towards the horizon that calls us, makes us walk, makes us navigate towards this horizon that is God, that looks for us, and that wants us to share the blessings of the universe, the blessing of life, the blessing of life eternal. Dear God, your love flows through our veins. Your love connects us all, here on earth, on other earths, to people in spirits in a spiritual realm, that makes us feel as if we are not alone, that we are all this big family that share with you, with our loved ones, the capacity of love that can change ourselves and the world around us. May you, together with the good spirits and us, be united, be one, so that we can be a better one for all of us, for the ones who are with us, sharing this moment here on earth. May your love carry us, so that with your love we can also carry ourselves and carry our loved ones with us in our hearts and in our minds. May your love be with us always. So be it. So with this, let's thank you once again, and let's go to our passes now, and we'll be back next week.